And joining me now in studio to talk about this very worrying trend is a panel. I'll start from my immediate left is John Swaka. He's a criminal and family lawyer. Next to him is Damaris, who is also a cyberbullying victim. She'll talk about her experience and also what she knows about Brenda's experience as well. And we also have Vincent Ngundi from the Communications Authority of Kenya. He's the Assistant Director of Cybersecurity there. Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Let me start with you, John. From the legal side of all this, it's unfortunate that we have to have this conversation after Brenda's demise. But what is the legality of such a group like Buyers Beware? Because now you're looking at individuals who are allowed to expose other individuals for maybe money that is owed or a cheating husband under the guise of freedom of expression. But when does that cross into harassment?
Well, our constitution is very clear that though we have freedom of expression, the same ought to be used in a manner that does not infringe on the rights of others. And realize that with this kind of groupings, then the freedom of expression actually goes beyond the perimeter that's normal, that's allowed in law. And so you end up hurting or harming other people. And so there ought to be legislation actually that directly deals with things to do with the cyberbullying and with stuff to do with cybercrime. You realize that the laws that we have right now, especially under the Communication and Information Act, does not zero in on cyber bullying. Of course, it does touch on some few elements of getting information from one point to another, sharing, disseminating those kind of information with other people without their consent, but it does not actually zero in on the issue of cyberbullying. And so that's why you feel or you see people actually harassing others and actually more or less walking away free.
Right.
And so our prayer would be that legislation be enacted which actually deal with this particular maintenance, because actually it's been on the higher trend.
Right. Yeah. And it's harder to, like you said, prosecute because the evidence is a bit scanty when it comes to such cases. But you, Damaris, have been part of this group, Buyers Beware, and have also seen the ugly side of it as well. You actually revealed to members Brenda's death and demise. Just tell us the reaction that you got from some of the members after you revealed that.
Okay, I remember it was on Saturday morning, and I'm in two groups. Buyer Beware, I was in two groups, Buyer Beware and Kilimani Moms. So I run a foundation that supports women and houses women and all that. So on this day when I saw that a post has been written that Brenda has died through a road tragic accident, it was posted there. And everybody started throwing in words. I mean, it's there, it's in the open. Everybody started throwing in words. At some point I asked, so what are we going to do about it? Nobody answered me. The next thing they were saying, oh, she did this. So I decided, I mean, why can't I just go to City Mortuary to just confirm actually if Brenda is dead or not, whether it's true or not. And since I had never met Brenda in person, there was a number that had been given there. One of our best friends called Frida, and I called Frida, and I called the person who had put it there, who's an administrator in another group. I said, why don't you meet at City Mortuary just to confirm actually if this girl is dead? I went to City Mortuary, and I met Frida, and I met this other administrator. So when we reached there, this Frida confirmed and said, it's her, it's actually her, she's dead. And I saw the photos that had been given earlier, and I saw this one in the morgue. I said, for purposes of, because I'll be doubted anyway, let me take photos. But I didn't post them immediately. I went back to the other group, Kilimani Moms, and I posted and I said, hey, what's up? It's true, I've confirmed that Brenda is dead. Let's stop all these stories and let's give her a good send-off. That was my mistake, apparently, at that moment. Somebody picked up that message from that group and posted it in Buyer Beware. And the next thing, I figured it out. I was called a con woman. I was called, I went to pick up a dead body, a selfie. You know, in fact, as you can see, the administrator said we took selfies at the morgue with the dead bodies just to come so that we can con people and ask money. So in my head, I wondered, how is it that I went to pick a dead body? I've never even been. So they asked me for evidence. People kept on saying, why don't you send the photo? I sent the photo. And that was it. They called me names if you went there. And one of the things I was so shocked is I called the administrator that night. She sent me a message. I sent her a message, hi, kindly call me back. I sent her a message. That night I called her. It's on record. She told me she's a very busy woman, she cannot listen to this, and if she one word she used is Anikadmu in buyer beware, so I should just square it out in buyer beware. So I wondered, okay, where do I go next? My name, by the time I was reaching it, had 2 million comments. Right. So I went to, the following day is when I went to the police station, I reported, and of course investigations were done. Thank God to cybercrime, they were able to get the names, you know, the pseudonyms, those people who use different names, they were able to trace. And one of the people who was traced to bully me, who was the loudest and the loudest in the group, is a lady, when I go to salon, you know, the way you have in your hair, she brings juices. You know, she serves you with juices, sells you juice. So I've been promoted by buying her juices. That was the lady who called me the con woman, icon hairdressers, icon people using, in fact, those are some of the words.
And you actually had the mind to actually go to the police, report it.
I did, yes.
And let me come to you, Vincent, because the Communications Authority actually has a cyber crime department that actually deals with this. So when someone comes to report, what goes on in terms of handling the case?
Okay. For starters, and thank you for giving us this opportunity, but for starters, what happens is that yes, we have a center. It's called the National Computer Incident Response Team Coordination Center. It's a national point of contact for cybersecurity issues for the country. But we don't handle cases directly. What happens is that when you have a case like Damaris had, you go and report to the police, because the role of investigations is handled by the police. But what we do is that, since given the nature of cybercrime, it's global, it's cross-border, it requires many actors in terms of handling it. That center has collaborations with very many players. Locally, with other government agencies, including law enforcement. We work with the private sector, the financial sector, civil society, among other actors. But we also have collaborations internationally. The case in point is Buyer Beware. Buyer Beware runs on a Facebook platform. Facebook is not a Kenyan company. It's a company that's based in the US. So what we do is that we have engagement, even with social media providers like Facebook. So when you have incidences like what you have, we work in collaboration with the police, because we have a very close collaboration with them. Since we have the partnerships, then once the cases are reported to us, then we work with, you know, the various social media providers, or wherever it is, to be able to resolve it. I spoke to Damaris before this interview and told her that we also have a way of not receiving reports. The only thing we can do is investigate, because investigation is the role of the police. But we have a platform, an online platform, where you can actually send us an email with such reports, and we look into them. If we feel that they are criminal in nature, then we also refer you and advise you to go and see the police. We also have a website where we have information where people can actually also report subscribe, but also be able to access a lot of information, including tips on how to handle things like cyberbullying.
Yeah, we were supposed to have actually the police spokesman, Charles Owino, joining us over the phone just to establish what would criminalize a cyberbullying case. But if someone can't prove criminality in a cyberbullying case, John, are there any other avenues? For instance, you know, Damaris would come in and say, my name has been dragged through, my reputation has been damaged. Could she get some legal redress from something like that?
Of course. It was just the other day that criminal label was taken away from our statutes. But you still have recourse in law. Why? Because those kind of things will be defamatory in nature. And the law does allow you to actually proceed and do a demand letter to whoever the person you feel has wronged you. And perhaps proceed and file a civil suit for redress. So there is provision in law still.
Yeah, and talking about this Facebook page as well, Buyers Beware, in it is a bit sketchy, because people have to pay the administrator to have their posts validated. Once the money's been paid back, they give a cut of that back to the administrator. How legal is something like this? Because it seems like it's almost like an extortion ring, if you will.
It is extortion. I mean, it has no other word. Because that's basically extortion, and it's also criminal in nature. It's not allowed, and you ought not pay anyone anything. That's right.
And for you, Damaris, is there anything that you would want to do in terms of trying to get some action done?
We already did it. So on Sunday, on Saturday, after I reported on Monday, I went to see my lawyer, and my lawyer wrote a demand letter from the 3 people who really bullied me on that page. And thank God, of course, as I said, the cyber and the CID, they were very great. I mean, I was very grateful to them, because they were able to retract all the Facebook pages. They printed out all that and anything that had my name. They printed it. So I took them to my lawyer. My lawyer wrote a demand letter asking them to pull down the posts and apologize. Unfortunately, as we are talking right now, Rubadiri, I'll tell you one thing. Go to that page right now. I'm the topic. I can guarantee you that. before we came in, we could see, I'm not in that page, but my lawyer is in that page. There's a few CIDs who are in that page, who joined that page. And of course, everybody kept on saying these are studios and all that. So they were sending me all the reports that is being said as of the moment. And I can guarantee you, I was telling him today, and I even told you, and I was like, oh, tomorrow we will definitely be the ones on that page being bullied again and again.
Points of discussion.
Yeah, but we will, will be definitely the point of discussion. But I thank God because of the law, because we've written to them. We're waiting for them to pull down the post, because even in her death, she's still being bullied. As it is, somebody a few minutes ago was saying, actually, I doubt the story. We would have taken photos and all that. Yeah,
and it is unfortunate because social media is so dynamic. It keeps changing literally on the minute. Vincent, that's one area that needs really to be regulated, if you will. There's no legal framework really that's regulating that area in terms of cyber bullying or even cyber crime. But there is a cyber crime bill that's being drafted right now. And what are the details within it?
We actually had some provisions in the Kenya Information and Communications Act until Section 29 was repealed. And Section 29 actually spelled out offences and penalties for people who misuse telecommunications infrastructure. But even without that, the government is actually, through the Ministry of ICT, has come up with a computer and cyber crimes bill. It's an omnibus legislation that brings together all aspects of all criminal aspects of cyber crime. And we're hoping that sooner rather than later, that piece of legislation will be put in place. It will help both the judicial system, the law enforcement sector, among other actors, including the lawyers, to be able to handle some of these issues, because more and more of these cases are bound to happen.
Right, absolutely. And the hope is that it's passed fast, like you said, so we can actually
sooner rather than later.
A lot of these cases prosecuted and people actually doing some jail time. Thank you so much to my panel. Keep the discussion going on social media as well. It's certainly a conversation that we have to keep going. Let's